Hey guys, it's Mandy and I'm so happy to finally be back home in my normal filming spot, my normal film area, and I hope you guys are happy too. Honestly, I'm sad because I wish I was still on vacation. But anyways, I'm happy to be home working again, and I'm sure that you guys, after seeing the title of this video, are very intrigued by what I have to tell you guys today. And I know how much you guys like spooky stuff, and I know you guys know how much I love spooky stuff, but just get ready because this stuff is crazy, okay? This stuff is crazy. I'll just start off from like I'm sorry, my hands are red because I just did a color. A red color, obviously. And I just did my sister's hair too, so check that out. Wow, this video is already all over the place. In order of events, I will start with the beginning. So, most of you guys know, if you guys have watched my Vegas in 3 days video, check her out before you watch this. I stayed at the Venetian in Vegas, and it was very nice. Never once did I ever get any weird vibes until one night, the first night actually. Never once did I get any freaky, creepy vibes from it at all until nighttime. So as you guys know, it's a very big hotel, it's a very old hotel, and it's also very large, like the rooms are very big. So I got a room with Luca there, and the first night, to my surprise, I just couldn't fall asleep. I was sleeping and I kept like waking up sporadically, like throughout the night, over and over again, and I kept thinking that I would see a person in like the living area, like where the couch is and everything, like by my side of the bed. I kept thinking that I would see somebody standing there, and I would just kind of close my eyes and keep them closed, but I wasn't really sleeping. And every time I would open my eyes, I kept thinking that I saw somebody. It was also dark, but I got this feeling of dread, and I literally just could not sleep after that. So that was my first kind of like, well, it's probably just in my head. It was probably just dark. It was late. I was tired. I was probably seeing things. So it didn't really freak me out as much until other stuff started happening. So then the next night, I awoke to hearing lots of like panting and like someone who's going and it wasn't me, it wasn't Luca. It definitely shot something through my body, like adrenaline rushed through my body, and I sat up and I looked around the room and there was nothing, there was nobody, but I kept hearing that sound of panting, and it was just like, ugh. And then the third night, the last night, so there was this vanity area, and you can see that in my Vegas video because I do a tour of the bathroom. There's this vanity area, and underneath the vanity desk there is like a small chair to sit in. So you pull it out, you sit in it, and you do your makeup, and that's what I had been using. And every time I was finished, I would push it right back under the desk, and Luca hadn't gotten near this thing, he hadn't touched this thing. Why would he have to? He wouldn't do that. Nobody had come into our room since we had gone to bed. Like, we would have known. And also, I make a point that whenever I sleep in a hotel room and we're going to bed for the night, I don't just lock the door because anybody could just come in that works there. I make sure I close that thing on the door so that when somebody tries to open it, it stops it from the inside physically. So I always do that. So nobody came in our room, and I woke up the next day, went to the bathroom, and I saw that the vanity chair was on the complete opposite side of the bathroom, and there were towels thrown everywhere. The bathroom was a mess, and I was literally shocked, and I was like, Luca? And like, I woke him up because I was like, did you move the vanity chair? Did you throw towels all over the floor? Like, did you do any of this? Knowing in the back of my head that no, he wouldn't have. Him and I, Luca and I are one and the same. Him and I like things clean. We like things to be organized, and he wouldn't have done that, and neither have I. So I was like, Luca, did you do this? And he was like, no. Luca doesn't really think about paranormal stuff. He's very logical, weirded out by it, but he doesn't like dwelling on things. For me, I was just kind of sitting there like staring as if the answer would come to me, and he was just like over it within a minute. But it was weird, and it felt weird, and I was just happy to leave that day, that morning. So I had never searched up anything about the Venetian being haunted. I had never heard about anything about the Venetian being haunted. So when I had this experience, I went online and I searched it up, and the Venetian is one of the top haunted hotels in Vegas, next to Bally's and Flamingo and Luxor. Luxor is a big one, but Venetian is one of them, and there's a bunch of reviews online of people having like paranormal experiences there, and I read one, or I read two. I'll read you the big two, and this is what freaked me out, okay? So the person who wrote this review, she put the floor and the room number, same floor, same room number area. Her room number, she was staying on floor 6. We were staying on floor 6. She was staying in room 238. I'm pretty sure that we stayed in room like 230 or like room 223 or something like that. 6223. And hers was 6238. At the Venetian. So I'll read this for you guys. She said, I just stayed at the Venetian Hotel on floor 6, room 238, and I was staying with my mom in a 2-bedroom. I was awake laying in bed, and as she got up to walk to the restroom, a woman walked in between our beds. I was the only one in the room, and I had only been awake for a little while. At first, I thought it was my aunt or just a maid, but I looked at her. I didn't recognize her, and she was just staring at the phone or at the mirror in between our beds. I stared at her for a while, and then she finally turned her head toward me and saw that I was looking at her. She disappeared into thin air. The strange thing was that I wasn't even freaked out by it. I have seen ghosts before, but this seemed more real than any other experience. I told my mom about this, and then we realized why the maids weren't coming into our room to give us fresh towels or make our beds. We even had to ask them repeatedly, and we would come back and they would set towels still in the plastic on a chair. So the maids were afraid to come into their room. Another person who wrote a review about the Venetian being haunted, they stayed on floor 4, room 135, and she wrote, I stayed in 4135, a suite right at the end of the corridor with a concrete view at the Venetian. Things were happening that we couldn't explain. I don't believe in ghosts, but I have to admit this was a bit spooky. My friend woke up at about 3 a.m. on our first night there saying someone was in our room. It woke her up by calling her name repeatedly. It was standing by the window. I looked and saw nothing, told her she was imagining things and go back to bed. Wow, that sounds like a lot like what I was experiencing, to be honest. She fell asleep as I watched the window. The curtains started to move, probably a draft from air conditioning, but only happened that one time. Next day we woke up, I opened the drawer in our bedside table to see the Holy Bible on my side. I made a joke, said it didn't affect me because God was on my side. She is an atheist, but she moved the Bible to her side. The next night, we slept right through. In the morning, when she woke, she couldn't find her glasses. Normally, she'd put them by the TV so she wouldn't break them accidentally half asleep. They weren't there. She spent a good 10 minutes looking for them. When I got to the Bible, she blamed me, saying I put them in there to freak her out. I didn't. Also, there was a massive lamp there that we couldn't get working. I had the idea that I would turn it on so it could help her sleep on our last night. Couldn't figure it out. We ended up leaving it off. We're idiots. We got back at about 4 a.m. and the lamp was on. The next day when we woke up, the lamp was off. Okay. Sorry. So that is that about the Venetian. So the Venetian Hotel is haunted. That is my haunted experience at the Venetian Hotel. And I'm realizing right now that this video is already 11 minutes long. So maybe I'll cut this video here. And my next video will be all about the canyon ghost experience that I had. Which is way scarier, you guys. Way scarier. Be ready for that. I have evidence on my phone. Evidence. So be ready for that. I got a text from my dad. Anyways, so be ready for that. That's the next video that's coming out. Be ready. Bye.